We'll zero in on family, faith, and a must-see documentary with Focus on the Family President Jim Daly on this episode of United Patriots Uprising with Gary Binford. I'm your host, Gary Binford. Thanks for joining us. This podcast is available at radioinfluence.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We'll give you more information where you can find audio, video, and archives of the podcast at the end of the show. You know, I got born again, follower of Jesus, saved in 1997. And shortly after that, the Focus on the Family radio broadcast was must listen for me every day of the week. Founded by Dr. James Dobson, who passed away recently, this show just connected me with not only other Christians, but the Christian way of life as applied to family, fatherhood, and faith. Jim Daly took over in 2005, and family, faith, fatherhood, it's just been quite a ride, and he's done quite a great job. And now they have co-produced a documentary that you must see. And it's not only about family and faith, but it's about the decline of family and faith based on the decline of Western civilization caused by the Marxist socialist influence in the United States that's looking to take us away from a belief and trust in God to a belief and trust in big government. No way, no shape, no how. We can't do this, America. So you want to find out about it? Well, let's get into it. He's the president of Focus on the Family, the renowned ministry that focuses on helping couples build strong marriages and raise healthy, resilient kids. He's also the host of its popular daily radio broadcast heard by more than 5.6 million listeners weekly. Here to talk about family-related matters and the new documentary film that Focus on the Family co-produced. It's an honor to welcome to the show author, broadcaster, Jim Daly. How are you, Jim?
Hey, Gary, it's great to be with you. I'm doing great. I'm optimistic. The future looks bright.
Well, I'm glad it does, because we are mired in the mess. Now, Focus on the Family is dedicated to fatherhood and faith, and those are much needed. These used to be staples in our country. There used to be a time in which family and faith, it was the way of life, but the attack against the family, which used to be subtle, now it's just warp speed. It's all over the place. It seems to be intentional. Tell us what the ministry is about since you took over in 2005, what you've been doing, and then we'll get into the film.
Sure. Yeah. You know, it started in 1977. Dr. Dobson was a PhD from University of Southern California in child development. He kind of went up against Dr. Spock and said, kids need boundaries. Kids need, rules. They need to be able to follow and learn how to be part of society. And that kind of flew in the face of the 60s, 70s parenting generation. So he wrote a book called Dare to Discipline, which was a popular bestseller. I think 40 million sold, if I remember correctly. He took the proceeds from that, started Focus in 1977, and Focus just grew and grew because I think people have an appetite for what is normal, what is natural, and that is a two-parent mom and dad family raising their kids. And that's what we've been about ever since. We also have robust efforts in the pro-life space to help women, to help them make a choice for life. And boy, I'll tell you, those are the best letters to read, Gary, from 10, 11-year-olds that say, thank you for convincing my mom to have me. I mean, that just rips the tears right out of your eyes. And it's a great work to be able to come into the office every day and help people in that way.
I hear you, and amen for that. Now, Jim, when I asked for you to come on the show, I really thought we were going to talk about Focus on the Family. Then I saw Truth Rising, which you co-produced with the Colson Center, started by the late Chuck Colson. And this film just blew me away. It explores the decline of Western civilization and how Christians, we're the only hope, because we're the only one to carry the truth of God. So we're the only hope to save this. But this film just totally captivated me. And because my show is about the communist, Marxist, socialist attempt to take over America, it fell right in line. And what I loved about the film, you started it out of the country, because I think the biggest problem that Americans have, they don't really understand what communism looks like, smells like, and how it operates, because they haven't been confronted with it. And you took it out of the country from people giving their point of view from the outside in, and then you brought it back into the country with people giving their opinions from the inside out. So please tell us how you came to partner with the Colson Center and how this film came about.
Yeah, it probably started 2 years ago. 20 years ago, we did something called the Truth Project, which was a 13-part series. It was excellent. It kind of equipped Christians and non-Christians to better understand the culture we're in. And now 20 years later, we looked up 2 years ago, and I just thought, wow, there are non-Christians saying something's wrong in the culture. And somebody like HBO's Bill Maher, started to poke fun at wokeism, and it wasn't adding up. Elon Musk saying, we need children. That's our best hope for the next generation. Kind of like, duh. But some people have fought that and have discounted it and discarded it. To what you said earlier, the fact that the nuclear family is under attack. And I would say it's more spiritual. I'm sure that some people that attack it aren't even aware of what they're doing to kind of unleash or unweave what makes culture culture. I mean, a culture is only as strong as its families. And when we tamper with that, we do so at our peril. And I think we're seeing that. I mean, Gary, the Black community has fought this for years, the idea of fatherlessness. And so in that context, we thought, let's go at it again. Let's do Truth Rising. It's also got a 4-part study that people can tap, and it's all free. And it'll help equip particularly Christians to better understand how to, have a spine. When the spine of one is stiffened, it stiffens other spines. And I think we're seeing that in the culture right now. Your work and others in the culture that are talking about obvious truth. And it's really starting to resonate with people inside the church and outside the church. So we're excited about this. We think the timing is absolutely perfect.
It's overdue. I'm glad you mentioned truth. And I never thought that I would live to see an age or a day when people say, well, your truth is your truth and my truth is my truth, and there's no such thing as absolute truth, to which I say to them, is that absolutely true? But the problem is right. We are living in a chaotic society where not only are people verbally stating their truth, but now they're actually living it out. And that has become scary. And in the film, you talk about truth as the critical issue. Can you kind of unpack that for us?
Yeah, I'll do that. And I'll answer the question that you asked me before in John Stonestreet and Os Guinness. Oz is in his 80s. John is in his 40s. They're both cultural observers, commentators, critics, theologians, one older, one younger. So part of the film is Oz talking about Western civilization, the roots of Western civilization, and then the baton handoff to John Stonestreet, the younger, at Colson Center. And I called him. They lease office space right here at Focus. So I just called John and said, hey, John, we're thinking about this film. We need the experts. Are you willing to do it? He didn't hesitate. He said, absolutely. And then we began to work on the treatment together. But that concept of the losses that we have had in this country, I think it's fair to say, when you look at the research, the data, not the Bible. Certainly look at the Bible, but the Bible's talking about it with confidence. But look at the data. How do children thrive? In what environment do children do the best in? Oh, guess what? 2-parent, loving, biological home. That's it, everybody. And it is obvious, even to what I would say is agnostic or atheist researchers in social science. There's been a couple of good books written by those folks now saying there's no refuting that children do best. And, part of this is like, you got to be kidding me. It's that obvious. And so for us, at least on the family side, we're attacking that every day with marriage and parenting, try to strengthen marriages. We have a great save rate. We have wonderful programs that focus on the family to help a troubled marriage. And when we can keep a family together, the cascading effect and benefit is overwhelming in a number of ways. It lessens the burden on society because men and women are intact. I remember I met with with Justice Kennedy, and he was kind of chiding me, Christian organizations should take care of the poor. I said, we do. I mean, Christians have a great tradition of that, soup kitchens, etc. Many churches have food pantries. That's something that is staple in Christian work. But I said, we at Focus on the Family, we go after the root cause of poverty. And how's that? And I remember saying, poverty rate with an intact mother and children and an intact family is 6%. After divorce, 36%. It is the root cause of poverty, divorce. So why aren't we doing more to help couples stay together and fight for their marriages? That should be the message, not discard this relationship and move on. One of the personalities in the film Truth Rising is Katie Faust out of Seattle. And she started this ministry, Them Before Us. And we're working on another documentary with her. But in this film, she talks about where adults have got it wrong. It used to be, think of this, those of us that grew up in the 60s and 70s, parents would sacrifice for their children to go to college, to achieve more than their mom and dad achieved. And Katie profoundly says now adults expect children to sacrifice for them in sexual ideology, whatever it may be. And that is profoundly true. We are expecting children to be mutilated, to give their bodies up for transgendered sex changes and all that for adult ideology to make us feel better. And it's just simply wrong.
Absolutely wrong. And Katie did a great job. And the thing I admired about Katie, and out of everybody that you will see, of all the people in this, Katie was the one that felt God was asking her to do something she was completely unequipped for, and to start blogging and start writing about parenting and about this issue. And she was very, very hesitant and didn't want to use her name. And when she finally got attacked and got outed and was able to use her name, that's when her message exploded. So it just shows that when God has a plan for you, if he's behind it, it will not fail if you follow what he wants you to do. Now, part of the problem and part of the reason that this film, to me, is just so important now, it is talking about something that people actually don't think exists. If you're not a Christian, most people think we're ascending. Life is getting better. Everything is growing. We have more knowledge and this and that. No. The film says Western civilization is not only in decline, but it makes a point we're in a civilization or a civilizational moment, which I guess means a moment in time. We better handle this or we're in big trouble. Please explain that, because I understand what it means about the decline. We're seeing the decline of everything godly, everything holy, everything purely constitutional, United States, right?
Yeah. I think Os Guinness, who coined that in the film, it comes right from a book that he wrote, but he talks about this moment, civilizational moment. And he basically says there's three ways civilizations go. They continue that decline into ruin, or they renew. So they're in the state of decline. They can recapture those things that made them great. And that's what we're proposing. We got to get back to those things that make a republic great. And that's the position of the film. And I think, again, I remember with the election, the most recent election, many on the left talked about remaking America into something new. And that's what Oz is talking about. That's one of the other options. You got to make it into something different, renew what made it great, or it goes to the dustbin of history, and you'll see all about it in museums 100 years from now. And so that's the warning that Oz is giving us. We have a moment to correct these things. We still have constitutional rights, etc., that we need to build upon. But I think the biggest message of the film, Gary, is this idea of there are no ordinary people. There are no small people. We all are made in the image of God. And for that reason, we are due respect. Every stripe, I don't care what the political nature of somebody is, even those on the left, they're made, they may not agree with it, but they're made in the image of God and they deserve dignity. So as we go into this, it's how to speak truth to a culture like what is happening right now. Bill Maher and others that are saying right things about gender, about LGBTQ. And, it's time to wake up and just make a decision. Can we get to a better place than we're at right now? And I think there is hope. And I think Oz is on the right track. I think John coming in behind Oz is picking up the baton beautifully. And you'll see that in the film.
Yeah. There is hope, but there's tremendous resistance. Like if you see everything that's going on now, it's resist, it's resist, it's resist. It's resist God.
Gary, though, let me say this, though, for Christians particularly, there's no comfort guaranteed in becoming a Christian. Think of the early church, first, second century church going into the Roman Empire. They were despised, they were hunted down, they were killed, they were martyred, and they were joyful, and they spread the message of the gospel, and they did amazing things, and they created hospitals and hospices and orphanages, and that's all the heritage of the Christian church. So, we can shake all of that fear off. The scripture says, fear not. And we get about doing the business of what God wants us to do. And I think that's the biggest issue, Gary, is for us not to grow complacent, but to be engaged. Jack Phillips, the baker who's in the film up in Denver, he woke up one day, he's just a simple baker going to work. And then a gay couple came in and said, we want you to make our wedding cake. And he politely said, I can't do that. I'm a Christian. I'll do anything else for you. I could make you a birthday cake, sell you cookies, whatever. But I can't make that with my talent because I promised God I would use my talent for truth and for biblical things. And they just stuck him and they took him all the way to the Supreme Court. He won, and he tells a compassionate, compelling story so emotionally about winning that case and what it meant, not just for him, but for the country to be able to speak your mind. And I think that's where we got to get to. I think right now we've had 20 years of bullying from those that don't believe in God, that are atheistic in nature or agnostic or could care less. You're hearing some of that with the school shooting and the attitude they have toward prayer and hope for those families that are suffering right now. It's disgusting, but that's their worldview. And so we've got to get a spine. We got to stiffen a little bit, be kind, don't be aggressive, but say you're wrong. And you're wrong for these reasons.
We're the only ones that carry this message. And Jim, as you know, with God being taken out of the school, the workplace, and the government, he's been out for so long that a lot of people, they're not even thinking about God. They don't even know what God thinks. They don't know what he thinks about marriage. They don't know what he thinks about murdering babies. They just don't know. And the problem that is brought out in the film, the belief in God has been cut off. The truth has been severed. They've taken it out of history books. And the film contends we cannot survive if this is allowed to continue. If it continues going the direction it's going, where God is completely removed and they're going to bring in this, as the film started, socialist, Marxist point of view, we're done. But how do you get God back into the workplace, the school, and the government?
Well, I think it starts at the individual level, and that's what we're encouraging people with the film and the 4-part study to go through that study, to give yourself the strength and the courage and the tools to be able to be on the school board, to be engaged, to go down to your Chamber of Commerce meeting, to be engaged in your neighborhood. I knew a church up in Aurora. They ended up rallying other churches to simply make a tic-tac-toe around your house and hit all those houses around your house. If you were the middle of the tic-tac-toe design, and just hit those neighbors. The stories that came back, people that were shut-ins dealing with cancer on their deathbed, had nobody to bring them a meal. And it was just an amazing story. They ended up touching like 265,000 neighbors in Aurora, Colorado. And think if every neighborhood could get involved and do something of that nature, the church would explode. And I think that's how you reintroduce people to God, is by being a good neighbor and loving your neighbor, just like Jesus said.
Yes. And John Stone Street, who was in the movie, one of a very powerful cast member, and I'm going to paraphrase what he said because this is what really stuck with me and in dealing with my ministry, because it's just so hard to get people to get involved. And he really probably gave the reason why the church is kind of needs a big revival of truth and standing up for everything that God stands for. And this is what he said. He said, this is not going to be political, and it's not an economical solution. We have to do more than just know the truth and believe the truth. And here it is. We have to love the truth. We have to embrace the truth. We have to live the truth. And you can only do that if you know the truth, because it's the truth that you know. The truth can't help you if you don't know what it is. So does there have to be a re-embracing of truth among believers to be able to carry this out?
Absolutely. Truth and literacy. We need to read the word and understand the word and be able to take the word in and then act the word out. And, it's the difference, I say, between orthodoxy, speaking truth, and orthopraxy, doing the truth. And again, I think this is one of the places with the Western civilization, not just the US, but Europe and Canada, where we've become very lethargic as believers, and we go to work and we raise our kids, and there's not a lot of time left over to do anything else. But God calls us to much more than that. My wife and I did foster care for like 10 years. I think we probably had 30 kids come through our home. I was not wanting to do that. I had been in foster care. I told my wife, I paid my dues. And she looked at me with that great spousal wife look and said, yeah, that doesn't cut it. If you're going to ask other people to do it, we got to do it. So we did, and it's been rewarding. We're still engaged with a number of those kids 10, 20 years later now. It's been quite amazing.
And when you came from it, you're rooted in it, so that's great. I'm glad you got involved there. Jim, if you notice, my hair is starting to, I'm going to make a joke here. Part of it is I've been pulling it out because here's what is so hard for me to wrap my brain around. And it comes out in the movie. And this is one of the things that I think God is giving us a blessing. I think he's blessing us by allowing Marxism, socialism, communism to enter our lives and our consciousness. Not full blown, but when you have a mayor running in New York and somebody here and you got all these communist Marxist influences, since we really don't get it, God is allowing, in my opinion, giving us a blessing. Okay, I'm going to give you a whiff of this. Is that what you want to live under? And why I'm losing my hair is because I keep pulling it out saying, didn't you pay attention to what happened in Cuba? What about Venezuela? What about North Korea? We can just go on and on and on and look at England. Why aren't people getting this? They're seeing when you turn from God and turn to big government, this is what you get. Well, I don't get it. Venezuela, I was in Caracas 3 or 4 times. It was a great city back in the 80s. Look at it now. They're eating their dogs. Come on.
Yeah.
What's going on
here?
It's
ridiculous. I happened to be in the coup when Gorbachev was in the Soviet Union. I was there preparing for Dr. Dobson to meet with Gorbachev, and he was going to speak to the Soviet School of Psychiatry. And I mean, it was a lot of meetings. And Dan Coates, a senator at the time, was coming along with Bob McEwen, the head of the Intelligence Committee of the House. And they were all coming in, and boom, the coup occurred. And a colleague and I were there. And I remember being with the tank defectors, and this woman came over to me and said, your president, which was the first Bush presidency, she said, your president said you got to go out. You got to get out of the Soviet Union. I said, well, that's what's great about democracy. We don't have to listen to our president. And she looked at me like, what? But it was a great experience for me to see the empty stores, the troubled lives, the people in despair. Communism does not work, and it usually always ends up killing millions of people, whether it was Mao in China or the Soviet experience in 1918 with the Bolshevik Revolution. You can't get to perfection. They keep saying, if America could do communism far better because we know the other side and we can apply this. But the reading of that is communism or socialism has to be done perfectly. And the scripture's clear. We are sinners saved by grace. Human beings do nothing perfectly. Yet capitalism can be imperfect and lift everybody's boat. We create middle class, we create, the good things. Is it perfect? No. But do we work at it? Yes. Whether it's the abolition of slavery or taking care of the poor. What country other than the US has spent $25 trillion on poverty? Now, I would say they spent it the wrong way because we haven't made up ground. Where did that $25 trillion go? And it just adds debt to our children.
You got it, Jim. Jim, Truth Rising is not just a movie. You say it's a movement to join. Please explain to people what that means and how they can get involved.
Well, one is information. Again, I think the church waking up and feeling like, okay, the wind, the spiritual breezes are changing. When you have Bill Maher talking about how woke does not work and issues within the LGBTQ expression. And, it just is a signal, not just him, but others. Like I said, Elon Musk, Jordan Peterson, not necessarily believers at all, but they're seeing things in the culture and they're saying something is not working the way it used to work. And to your point, that's typically how socialism and big changes occur. They're going to live off of what benevolent capitalism has done, what American capitalism has done, and they're going to live off of it until they get the change they want. The problem is when we wake up on that day, it's not going to be good. In fact, John Huston, the former deputy prime minister of Australia, says it just that way. This is not going to look good if we move in that direction. It will be ugly. It will be more difficult than anybody realizes. He goes on to say, you know what? The engines of democracy still work. We just cannot put the alternative fuel that the left is putting into those engines. They are choking because things like the rule of law and how to treat your neighbor and those great things that built Western civilization are no longer being followed. I think it was Monroe, one of the founding fathers, who wrote that this republic is only for a religious people. It's inadequate for any other. That means we have to be people that understand good and evil. And when we see evil, we pull it out, we deal with it, and we keep moving. And so that's how we're going to change. But we need to alert the church. Being cocooned, being silent, being in your house, doing your thing isn't going to cut it, because it's going to come and get you someday with the rest of us. So how do we stand in that kind of current of culture and say, you know what? Babies matter. Babies have the dignity of being made in God's image. You know what? Marriage matters. Marriage as a man and a woman, which is right there in Scripture. The Lord said, a man shall leave his mother and father and marry his wife and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. How about that thought? I had a Catholic priest say to me, you know what? Satan wakes up every day chasing down marriage because it's a stench in his nostrils. Christian, non-Christian, male-female marriage is the very image of God on this earth, because it reminds Satan of what God did. He put his image into us human beings and called it glory. And we need to remember that as we're walking along, as the church and even as the non-believers. This is something special.
Amen to that. Jim, I've truly enjoyed this. It's been a blessing to have you on and talk about this. The name of the film is Truth Rising. Jim, please tell people how they can get the film, and then tell them about Focus on the Family, where they can find it, how to get your podcast, how to connect with the organization, and anything else you'd like to promote.
All right, so good, Gary. Thank you. Truth Rising, truthrising.com. It's absolutely free. We're going to stream it September 5th, just a few days ago. So go see it. It doesn't cost a thing. There's a 4-part curriculum that I mentioned about truth and identity and calling, and you can get that also free. They're like 20-minute studies after the program, and you can do that in small group. You can do that just within your home. And those are the things that will equip you to be stronger in the culture, to be more courageous in the culture, which is good. And it's all at truthrising.com. Focus on the Family's here for your marriage. It's just a treasure trove of resources for marriage and parenting. We have 20 counselors. If you ever need to talk to a counselor, give us a call. They'll schedule a time to call you back and talk to you for a half hour, an hour, and give you ideas and ways to solve some of life's difficult problems.
And they can find the radio broadcast and your podcast where?
They can do that through focusonthefamily.com. It's all there, and or 1-800-A-FAMILY.
I hear you, Jim. It's been a pleasure having you on. God bless you and the ministry, and keep up this great fight, because as you just said, Satan attacked the two things that God made sacred in the garden. He married Adam and Eve and said, the two shall become one flesh. That's the sanctity of marriage. After Cain killed Abel, thou shalt not murder. That's the sanctity of life. And he goes after both of them. And that is your wheelhouse. So I thank you for coming on. You're always welcome to come on anytime you'd like to. And God bless you and God bless the ministry. And hoping for great success for the film.
Thank you so much, Gary. God bless you in New York. We'll be praying for that election.
We need it. Thank you. Yeah. There you have it, everybody. Jim Daly, president of Focus on the Family. I want to thank Jim Daly for coming on the show and talking about family, faith, fatherhood, and the new documentary, Truth Rising, which I ask everybody to please see. It really breaks down from the outside in and from the inside out, this attempted communist takeover of America, what's behind it, how it got started, and what we have to do to stop it while we still have time. So, Jim, God bless you, the ministry, and everything you do. This podcast is available at radioinfluence.com or wherever you get your favorite podcast. The video version you can find at YouTube, Rumble, the God, Family, and Country Television Network, the Rose Unplugged Media Network, vachristian.org, the America First, warehouse.com, yournews.com, OBBM Network TV, and WeSeeYouMedia.com. Also, this show originally was audio the first few years, and you can find all the audio episodes at radioinfluence.com/category/United Patriots Uprising / and there you'll find guests such as Ben Carson, Judge Janine Pirro, Charlie Kirk, Carrie Lake, Mike Lindell, Carol Swain, Pastor Jack Hibbs, Clay Clark, Monica Crowley, Diamond and Silk, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, and Wayne Allen Root, among many others. There's been more than 200 high-profile guests who have been on this show, and you will find all the audio versions there. Well, that's it for now, everyone. So until the next time, this is your host, Gary Binford, saying God bless you, God bless your families, and God, please bless America.